Have you ever looked around and wondered, why is everyone else winning and I'm still stuck? You scroll through your phone. You see friends getting promotions, starting businesses, buying homes, traveling the world. And you think, what am I doing wrong? You feel like you're trying, but nothing's really moving. You tell yourself, maybe I'm just not lucky. Maybe success isn't for me. But what if I told you? It's not about luck. It's not about who you know. It's not even about how smart or talented you are. It's about where your attention goes. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. You've been focusing on everything except the one thing that really matters. You. You've been pouring your energy into people who don't support you. You've been waiting for motivation to magically appear. You've been stuck in cycles of comparison, of fear, of doubt, hoping something or someone will come along and fix it. But nobody's coming to save you. This world doesn't give success to those who wish for it. It gives success to those who are willing to work for it, bleed for it, and believe they deserve it. And that starts with you. It starts when you stop blaming the world, when you stop waiting for perfect timing, when you stop pointing fingers at your past, your parents, your boss, your environment. It starts when you say, enough. I'm done playing small. I'm done playing the victim. I'm done giving away my power. Because here's what they don't teach in school. The moment you take full ownership of your life, everything changes. You become dangerous, not to others, but to your excuses, to your fear, to that voice inside you that says, I'm not good enough. And maybe you've heard that voice a lot. Maybe it's been with you since childhood. Maybe every time you wanted to try something new, that voice stopped you. Every time you wanted to take a risk, that voice told you to play it safe. Every time you had a dream, that voice said, who are you to dream that big? But what if that voice is wrong? What if you are capable? What if your potential is way bigger than you've ever believed? And what if the only reason you haven't reached it yet is because you've been focused on the noise, instead of your own growth? This is not about ego. This is not about being selfish. This is about survival, about progress, about reclaiming your power. Because if you don't focus on you, who will? If you don't choose yourself every single day, then the world will keep choosing for you. It will tell you how to live. It will tell you what's possible. It will put limits on you. And if you don't fight back, you'll believe them. But today, that changes. Today, you stop chasing validation and start chasing mastery. Today, you stop running from your potential and start building it. Today, you look in the mirror, not to criticize, not to compare, but to commit. Commit to the work. Commit to the discipline. Commit to the uncomfortable growth that's waiting on the other side of your excuses. Because when you focus on you, truly focus, you become unstoppable. The world starts to shift. Doors open. Opportunities appear. Confidence grows. And slowly but surely, you start winning. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Now, let's dive into what that journey looks like. Step by step. It all begins with one decision: taking ownership of your life. Take ownership of your life. You're not a victim of your life. You're the author of it. And the moment you accept that, everything begins to change. It's easy to blame the world. Blame your parents. Blame your boss. Blame your childhood. Blame the system. And maybe some of that blame is justified. Maybe life did hit you harder than most. Maybe you were raised in chaos. Maybe you were told you weren't enough. Maybe doors were slammed in your face over and over again. But here's the truth. As long as you blame, you remain stuck, because blame gives your power away. And if you're serious about winning, if you're serious about changing your life, you can't afford to give your power away anymore. You have to take it back. Ownership means saying, my life is my responsibility. Not in a way that shames you, but in a way that frees you. Because if you created the life you have now, even by accident, that means you can also create the life you want, on purpose. Ownership is not about guilt. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about facing yourself honestly, sitting down and saying, "All right, this is where I am. This is what I've allowed. This is what I've tolerated. This is what I've avoided. And I'm done with that." That's where change begins. In the moment, you stop running. You see, we're taught to run from pain. We're taught to distract ourselves with entertainment, with scrolling, with gossip, with temporary highs. But nothing permanent grows from a temporary escape. You want growth? You want freedom. Then face the truth of your life and own it. If you're broke, own it. If you're tired, own it. If you've been lazy, undisciplined, reactive, stuck, own every bit of it. Because when you own it, you control it. And what you control, you can change. Let me ask you something. What are you pretending not to know? What truth have you been ignoring? You know what I'm talking about. That one area in your life that keeps haunting you, that thing you keep saying you'll get to later, the bad habit you keep making excuses for, the conversation you're avoiding, the commitment you've been scared to make. That's the place where ownership starts. And here's the thing. Ownership is never convenient. It doesn't feel good at first, but it will free you. Because once you stop pointing fingers and start looking inward, you stop waiting. You stop waiting for people to change. You stop waiting for approval. You stop waiting for the stars to align. You stop waiting for the perfect time. And you start creating the life you want. Now. Now let me be real with you. Taking ownership is going to cost you some things. It might cost you your excuses. It might cost you your comfort zone. It might cost you some relationships with people who are used to the old version of you, the version that played small, that stayed quiet, that settled. But what you'll gain in return is priceless. You'll gain clarity. You'll gain power. You'll gain confidence, discipline, direction. You'll start showing up differently, because now you're no longer waiting to be chosen. You've chosen yourself. Ownership is the foundation of self-respect. You know how you build real confidence? Not from quotes, not from likes, not from fake hype. You build it by keeping your word to yourself. You build it by facing hard things and saying, "I'm still here." You build it by waking up every day and doing the uncomfortable things that most people avoid. And that begins with one choice. I am responsible for my life. Not just the good parts, all of it. And listen, responsibility doesn't mean control. You can't control everything that happens to you. You can't control your past. You can't control every curveball life throws your way, but you can control your response. You can control your focus. You can control how you rise from it. That's real power. When you stop reacting to life and start responding with intention, you stop being a puppet and start being the director of your own story. I want you to ask yourself something right now. If no one was coming to save me, what would I do differently? If success was 100% my responsibility, what would change today? That's the mindset of a winner. That's the mindset of someone who refuses to leave their life to chance. Winners don't hope, they prepare. They don't blame, they build. They don't wait, they work. Because they know, nothing changes until they do. It doesn't happen overnight. Ownership is a habit. Every day, in the small moments, you make a choice. Do I complain, or do I solve? Do I blame, or do I build? Do I shrink, or do I stand up? And when you make the right choice enough times, it starts to become who you are. Not a victim, not a spectator, but the creator of your own destiny. Look, I'm not saying it's easy. There will be days when you feel like giving up. Days when the old patterns creep back in. Days when nobody claps for your progress. Days when you feel alone. But hear this, you are not alone. Every person who's ever made something out of nothing started exactly where you are. Frustrated, stuck, tired of settling. And they made one decision. I will not live like this anymore. I will take full control of my life no matter how hard it gets. That decision changed everything, and it can change everything for you too. So, from this day forward, every time you feel yourself slipping, every time you hear that inner voice of doubt, every time you want to point the finger or look for someone to blame, pause, breathe, and remind yourself of this truth. This is my life. I own it. I shape it. I build it. And no one, no situation, no past, no obstacle can stop me unless I give it permission. Because when you truly focus on you, when you block out the noise, stop trying to control the world, and just take full control of yourself, that's when the wins start coming. That's when the doors start opening. That's when people start asking you, "How did you do it?" And your answer will be simple. I stopped waiting. I took ownership. I focused on me until I won. Cultivate a growth mindset. So, now that you've taken ownership of your life, what's next? You've stopped blaming. You've stopped waiting. You've looked in the mirror and said, "This is my life. I'm responsible." That's the first step. But here's the truth. Responsibility without belief leads to frustration. You can own your life all day long, but if deep down you don't believe you can change, you won't. If you think you're stuck, if you think you're broken, if you think this is just who I am, then you've already lost. And that's where the growth mindset comes in. A growth mindset means you believe one simple thing. I can get better. Not perfect, not superhuman, just better, stronger, smarter, more disciplined, more aware. It's the belief that where you are today doesn't define where you'll be tomorrow, that your current struggle is not your permanent identity, that failure doesn't mean you're a failure, it means you're learning. Now, here's the thing. Most people don't have a growth mindset. Most people have what's called a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset says, "I'm not smart enough. I've never been good at this. That's just how I am. Some people are born with it. I wasn't." That mindset kills dreams. It keeps people stuck in the same place year after year. It makes them give up before they've even started. But a growth mindset says, "I may not know how yet, but I can learn. I've failed before, but that's part of the process. Every expert was once a beginner. This is hard, but I can figure it out." That mindset, that's power, that's freedom. That's the mindset that leads to real success. Let me ask you something. When you face something difficult, what's your first thought? Do you say, "I'm not built for this"? Or do you say, "This is a challenge, and I'm going to grow through it"? Because that one thought, that one belief, will shape your entire future. People with a growth mindset aren't born confident. They build their confidence, step by step. They fail, and they try again. They get rejected, and they don't quit. They're not afraid of looking foolish because they care more about progress than pride. Think about a baby learning to walk. They fall 100 times, but they don't say, "Walking's not for me." They don't quit. They don't doubt themselves. They keep getting up until one day they take that first step. You were that baby once. So, tell me, what happened? Who told you it wasn't okay to fall? Who convinced you that struggle was something to be ashamed of? Because whoever it was, they were wrong. Struggle is the path. Mistakes are the teachers. Growth is the reward, but only if you're willing to keep going. A growth mindset is about becoming your own biggest believer. Not because you have all the answers, but because you know you can find them. Not because you've already won, but because you refuse to quit until you do. You see, there's something dangerous about a fixed mindset. It doesn't just limit your goals, it limits your identity. You start saying things like, "I'm bad at relationships. I'm lazy. I'm not a morning person. I'm just not lucky." And you repeat it so much, you start believing it. You stop trying. You stop hoping. You settle. But what if, just what if, every one of those beliefs is a lie you've been living under? What if you could become someone completely different, just by changing how you think about growth. Because that's the secret. You don't need to fix your whole life overnight. You just need to believe that change is possible and be willing to start small. You don't need to be the best today, just better than yesterday. Read one page, wake up 10 minutes earlier, say no to that one temptation, try one new thing. That's how growth happens, in the quiet moments that nobody sees. Not flashy, not loud, but powerful. Because every time you do what the old you would have avoided, you prove that you're growing. You send a message to your brain that says, "We're not who we used to be. We're leveling up." Growth mindset is also about how you talk to yourself. Because whether you know it or not, you're always listening. If you tell yourself, "I can't do this," you won't. If you tell yourself, "This is too hard," it becomes harder. If you say, "I'll never make it," you're already giving up. But what if you change the dialogue? What if you started saying, "This is hard, but I've done hard things before. I'm not there yet, but I'm on the way." Every step forward counts. That's how you rewire your mindset. Not by pretending everything's easy, but by reminding yourself that you are capable of doing hard things. Here's a powerful truth. Your mind is like a muscle. The more you stretch it, the more it grows. But if you stay in the same routines, if you avoid discomfort, if you fear failure, then your mindset stays small, and so does your life. The growth mindset invites you to try new things, to get curious, to explore, to push, to stretch, not because it's easy, but because you were built to evolve. Think about this. If you stay where you are today, if nothing changes, will you be happy in 5 years? Will you be proud of yourself? Will you feel fulfilled? Because if the answer is no, then growth is not optional. It's essential. You can't afford to keep shrinking to fit your old self. You can't afford to live a life of what-ifs. It's time to upgrade your mindset. So, how do you cultivate a growth mindset? Let me make it simple. 1. Be aware of your thoughts. Catch the ones that limit you. Replace them with better ones. 2. Celebrate effort, not just results. If you showed up today, if you tried, that matters. 3. Ask better questions. Not, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What can I learn from this?" 4. See failure as feedback. Every loss has a lesson. Don't skip it. 5. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. Energy is contagious. So is mindset. This chapter is not just about thinking positively. It's about thinking powerfully. It's about choosing a mindset that works for you, not against you. Because once you believe you can grow, you will. And once you start growing, you become a different person. A person who doesn't settle. A person who doesn't fear failure. A person who builds instead of blames. And that person, they win, not by luck, not by magic, but by mindset. So take this with you. You are not finished. You're just getting started. Every day is a new chance to learn, to improve, to evolve. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. Because when you focus on you and you grow from the inside out, you don't just chase success. You become it. Build self-discipline. So far, you've taken ownership. You've accepted that your life is your responsibility. Then, you planted the seed of belief. You realized you can grow, evolve, and become someone better. But now comes the real test. Because belief without action is just a wish, and action without discipline doesn't last. That's why this chapter matters, because it's not just about motivation, it's about self-discipline. Let me start with something real. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. It's great when it shows up, but let's be honest, most days it doesn't. Discipline, that's different. Discipline doesn't wait to feel like it. Discipline shows up anyway. Self-discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to, even when it's boring, even when no one is watching, even when it's hard. It's the quiet power behind every great transformation. Nobody wakes up successful. Nobody stumbles into greatness. They build it, one disciplined day at a time. Now, here's the truth most people avoid. You will never rise higher than your level of discipline. You can have big dreams. You can have a great mindset. But without discipline, those dreams stay dreams. Because discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. Let me ask you, what's the one thing you know you should be doing, but you keep putting off? Working out, waking up earlier, cutting out distractions, being consistent with your goals. You see, your excuses are always louder than your progress. But discipline quiets the noise. A disciplined person doesn't wait for perfect conditions. They create them. They say, I may not control everything around me, but I control my habits. I control how I show up. I control what I do next. That's power. Let's make something clear. Self-discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It's not about perfection. It's not about punishment. It's about commitment. It's about doing what serves your future, not just your mood. Because let's face it, your mood changes. Some days you'll feel tired. Some days you'll feel overwhelmed. Some days you'll feel like quitting. But when you've trained discipline, you keep going anyway. You stop asking, do I feel like it? And you start asking, is it necessary? Think of discipline like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But if you keep avoiding it, it stays weak. Discipline is built in the small decisions. Choosing water over soda. Saying no when it's easier to say yes. Getting up when the bed feels warm. Staying focused when distractions come. Small things, repeated daily, change everything. A lot of people think discipline is something you're born with. It's not. It's something you train. How? By showing up. Every day. Especially on the days you don't want to. Because those days matter the most. Let me tell you this. You don't need more time. You don't need more resources. You don't need more motivation. You need more consistency. That's what discipline gives you. It makes your actions match your ambitions. And look, no one is disciplined all the time. There will be slip-ups. There will be off days. You'll mess up. But that's okay, because discipline doesn't mean never failing. It means never staying down. You fall, you get back up, you slip, you reset. You keep the promise alive. That's discipline. Here's something powerful to think about. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you lose trust in yourself. But every time you follow through, even on the small stuff, you build self-respect. You stop saying, I can't, and you start saying, I did. That shift, it changes how you walk, how you talk, how you lead, how you live. Because self-discipline is self-love in action. Let me break it down even more. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Discipline isn't flashy. It's not exciting, but it works. And when you master discipline, you master your future. Start by making one non-negotiable. One thing you do every single day, no matter what. Even if it's small, like journaling for 5 minutes or walking for 10 minutes. Start there, because that one habit creates a pattern, and that pattern rewires your brain. Your mind starts to expect more from you, and you start expecting more from yourself. That's when everything begins to change. Don't wait for discipline to show up. Create it. Set your alarm. Prepare the night before. Write your plan. Say no to distractions. And when your old self whispers, skip it today, you whisper back, I'm not that person anymore. Because discipline is not about controlling your whole life. It's about controlling your next decision. Listen, you're not always going to want to do the work, but you'll always want the results. Discipline is choosing the pain of progress over the comfort of regret. It's hard in the moment, but it pays you every single day. And the more you show up for yourself, the more unstoppable you become. So from now on, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop giving up when it gets hard. Stop starting over every Monday. Decide once, and stick with it. Because winners don't need perfect conditions. They need consistency. And that consistency comes from discipline. This chapter is your turning point. This is where belief becomes behavior, where dreams become plans, where good intentions become great results. And you get there by showing up again and again, even when no one's watching. Discipline is hard, but so is being stuck. So is staying average. So is living with regret. You choose your hard, and when you choose discipline, you choose power. You choose freedom. You choose your future. Keep that promise to yourself today. One small choice at a time. Because discipline doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. Embrace change and adaptability. Let's take a deep breath together. Because this chapter, it's going to shift your whole perspective. You've taken ownership of your life. You've planted a growth mindset. You've started building real self-discipline. But now, there's something else you need to master. Something most people fear. Change. Change is not always comfortable. It's rarely convenient. But it's always part of the journey. Because the truth is this: nothing great stays the same. Think about it. The seasons change. The world evolves. People come and go. Jobs shift. Plans break. Life moves. And you've got two choices. You can resist it, or you can ride with it. Because change will happen, with or without your permission. But adaptability, that's your power to respond. You see, discipline keeps you grounded, but adaptability, that's your wings. Discipline says, stick to the plan. Adaptability says, adjust when the plan breaks. And when you have both, you become unstoppable. Most people fear change because it means letting go. Letting go of comfort, letting go of control, letting go of who they used to be. But listen closely, change is not the enemy. Fear is fear of the unknown, fear of discomfort, fear of not being ready. But here's the truth. You don't have to be ready. You have to be willing. Willing to move. Willing to shift. Willing to grow into someone new. Let me say this again. Change doesn't break you. It reveals you. It reveals your mindset. It tests your discipline. It asks, did you really mean what you said about growth? And when you face that test with courage, you don't just survive change, you transform because of it. Now, let's talk about what real adaptability looks like. Adaptability isn't just about being flexible with your schedule. It's about being flexible with your identity. It's understanding that the person you were 6 months ago is not the person you need to be 6 months from now. It's knowing when to pivot, when to let go, when to reimagine yourself. And that takes humility. It takes self-awareness. It takes courage. You know what keeps people stuck? The refusal to change. They stay in the same habits, the same circles, the same beliefs, even when it's not working. Why? Because it's familiar. It's safe. It feels easy. But growth never comes from comfort. It comes from movement. Movement through discomfort, through uncertainty, through the unfamiliar. Let me ask you something. What if the very thing you're avoiding, the change you're resisting, is the breakthrough you've been waiting for? What if the next level of your life requires a different version of you? Because here's the truth. It does. You can't win the next season with last season's mindset. You can't solve new problems with old thinking. You can't evolve by staying the same. Adaptability is not weakness. It's strength. It means you can adjust without breaking. You can bend without falling. You can lose something and still move forward. That's resilience. That's wisdom. That's growth. And here's what's powerful. Every time you adapt, you grow your confidence. You realize, hey, I can handle this. I can figure this out. I'm more capable than I thought. And you stop fearing change. You start welcoming it. Because you know, every shift is a setup for something greater. Now, that doesn't mean it's always easy. Change can feel messy. It can hurt. It can be confusing. You might lose people. You might question yourself. You might feel lost at times. But those moments? Those are the moments where your strength is born. Those are the moments that sharpen your character, where you learn patience, where you discover hidden parts of yourself. You know what's more painful than change? Staying stuck in something that no longer serves you, a job that drains you, a relationship that limits you, a routine that's holding you back. But adaptability says, I don't need to stay where I'm safe. I'm willing to move toward where I'll grow. That's power. Let's be practical for a moment. How do you become more adaptable? How do you stop resisting change and start flowing with it? Let me give you a few truths to hold on to. 1. Stay curious. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Curiosity turns fear into learning. It opens your mind. It keeps you growing. 2. Be willing to unlearn. Sometimes success isn't about learning more. It's about letting go of what no longer works. Old habits, old patterns, old beliefs. Unlearning is just as powerful as learning. 3. Take small experiments. You don't have to change everything overnight. Test something new. Try a new approach. Step out of routine, just a little. Each small step stretches your adaptability muscle. 4th, build flexible routines. Discipline isn't about rigid structure. It's about commitment with room for reality. If your morning doesn't go as planned, adjust. If life gets messy, pivot without guilt. Progress over perfection. Always. Stay rooted in purpose. When life shifts around you, anchor yourself in your why, your vision, your values, your direction. If the path changes, the purpose doesn't. Adaptability means being strong enough to stay grounded and light enough to move when needed. It's not either or, it's both. Here's what I want you to remember. Change is not the enemy. It's the invitation, an invitation to grow, to rise, to become. And the more you embrace that, the more life starts to work for you, not against you. This journey you're on, it's not straight. It has turns, twists, pauses, leaps. But every shift is shaping you. Every unexpected change is building something in you. You just have to trust it, adapt to it, and keep moving. You've taken ownership. You've chosen growth. You're building discipline. Now, with adaptability, you become unshakable. No matter what life throws at you, you adjust, you move, and you rise. Because you're not just focused. You're fluid, and that's what makes you unstoppable. Prioritize self-care and well-being. Let's pause for a moment, not to slow down your growth, but to protect it. You've come far already. You've taken ownership of your path. You've believed in your power to change. You've started showing up with discipline. You've learned to adapt and stay flexible. But there's one more thing you need, and it's something most people forget when they chase success. Self-care. Well-being. The strength to keep going doesn't just come from willpower. It comes from how well you take care of yourself when no one's watching. You see, the world celebrates hustle, grind, pushing through. But here's the truth. Burnout doesn't build champions. Balance does. Because what's the point of chasing your dreams if you lose yourself on the way? What's the point of discipline and growth if your mind is foggy, your energy is low, and your heart is heavy? You can't pour from an empty cup, and you shouldn't try to. Self-care is not selfish. It's strategic. It's not laziness. It's longevity. It's not an excuse. It's your edge. Taking care of yourself is what keeps your mind sharp, your energy high, your spirit alive. And let me be clear, I'm not just talking about bubble baths or spa days. I'm talking about protecting your peace, getting enough rest, moving your body, fueling yourself with good food, saying no when you need to, spending time in stillness, checking in with how you feel. These are not luxuries. They are essentials. We live in a world that praises the grind, but if you're always grinding, something's wearing down. Usually, it's you, and you might not notice it at first, but slowly, your patience wears thin. Your creativity fades, your motivation drops, your discipline becomes harder to hold, not because you don't care, but because you're drained. And that's where self-care comes in. It's not about doing less. It's about doing what matters, with energy that lasts. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you rested before you were exhausted? When was the last time you paused before you broke down? We wait until the breaking point to care for ourselves, but by then, it's already too late. So what if you made self-care a part of the plan, not an afterthought? What if you treated your body and mind like a priority, not a backup? Because here's what's powerful. When you protect your energy, you protect your progress. Self-care looks different for everyone. For some, it's waking up early to journal. For others, it's going for a walk after work. For some, it's turning off your phone for a day. For others, it's spending time with someone who fills your soul. There is no one-size-fits-all, but the principle stays the same. Create space for recovery. Create space for joy. Create space for you. Let's talk about the 4 areas of well-being you must protect, because self-care is not just physical. It's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. 1. Mental well-being. Your mind is your most valuable tool. So, what are you feeding it? Negative thoughts? Constant stress? Unrealistic comparisons? Mental self-care means taking breaks from noise, practicing gratitude, challenging your inner critic, consuming uplifting ideas. Guard your mind, because it shapes your reality. 2. Emotional well-being. This one's big. We're often told to suppress our feelings, to toughen up, to ignore the pain. But emotions don't go away. They go somewhere. And if you don't process them, they'll control you. Emotional self-care means feeling your feelings without judgment, talking things out, giving yourself grace, being honest about what hurts. It's okay to feel. It's okay to cry. It's okay to say, I'm not okay right now. That honesty, that's healing. 3. Physical well-being. Your body is your vehicle. It carries your dreams, your focus, your discipline. Treat it like it matters. Physical self-care isn't about having a six-pack. It's about having the strength to show up daily. Move your body regularly, drink water, sleep deeply, stretch, rest. When your body feels good, your mind performs better. Your mood lifts. Your energy rises. It's all connected. 4. Spiritual well-being. You don't have to be religious for this to matter. Spiritual self-care is about connecting to something bigger than your problems. It's about stillness, purpose, peace. That could be prayer, meditation, nature, reading, time alone. Whatever fills your soul, do more of it. Because when your soul is anchored, the storms don't shake you as much. Self-care is not a destination. It's a daily practice. Some days it's 5 deep breaths before a hard conversation. Other days it's canceling a plan and choosing rest. Some days it's pushing through a workout. Other days it's choosing to rest and recover. There's no trophy for running yourself into the ground. But there's strength in knowing when to pause. Let's be real. Taking care of yourself takes effort. It's easier to scroll than meditate. It's easier to work late than sleep early. It's easier to say yes than protect your boundaries. But remember, ease doesn't equal growth, and hustle doesn't equal health. Find your rhythm, not society's. Build a life that you don't need to escape from. And here's a powerful truth. When you take care of yourself, you become more reliable, more focused, more emotionally stable, more confident. You stop breaking promises to yourself because you realize you are worthy of care, not just when you've earned it, not just when you finish the to-do list, but always. So as you move through this journey of growth, don't just work harder. Live wiser, love deeper, rest more, recover often, because consistency requires energy, and energy requires care. You can be both ambitious and gentle, both driven and peaceful, both growing and resting. That's not weakness. That's balance, and that's how you keep winning, for the long haul. You've learned how to take ownership, how to grow your mind, how to show up with discipline, how to flow with change. Now, protect your flame, because the most powerful version of you is the well-rested, well-fed, well-loved version. The one who doesn't just chase success, but lives in wholeness. Set clear goals and visualize success. Let's begin with a simple question. Where are you going? Because no matter how strong you are, no matter how disciplined or energized or adaptable you've become, if you don't know where you're headed, you'll end up everywhere and nowhere. Clarity creates power, direction gives meaning, and purpose turns action into momentum. This chapter is about more than setting goals. It's about setting your life on fire with focus and seeing your success before it even happens. You've done the work. You've taken ownership. You've committed to growth. You've learned discipline. You've embraced change. You've protected your energy. Now it's time to aim that power, on purpose. And that starts with setting clear, specific, and meaningful goals. Let's be honest. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, or effort, or potential. They fail because they don't have clarity. They're busy, but not effective. They're moving, but not progressing. They're doing, but not becoming. Because without clear goals, life feels like noise, like motion without meaning. And, eventually, that leads to frustration, burnout, even giving up. But when you get clear, everything changes. Clarity is magnetic. It pulls you, it sharpens you, it silences the noise. Because once you know what you're after, you stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter. You stop chasing everything. You start becoming someone. So let's start simple. What do you want? Not what society wants. Not what your friends expect. Not what sounds impressive. But what do you truly want? Deep in your spirit? This is where goal setting begins. Not with the how, but with the why. Your goals must mean something to you. Otherwise, you won't fight for them when it gets hard. And it will get hard. But when your goals are tied to your purpose, you won't fold. You'll rise. Let's talk about how to set goals that actually move you. Because a vague goal creates a vague life, but a clear goal creates clear action. So here's a simple formula to remember. Greater than specific. Measurable, aligned, time-bound. Let's break it down. 1. Specific. Don't just say, I want to be successful. Say, I want to start my own business within 12 months. Or, I want to run a 10K by December. Or, I want to read 12 books this year. Be exact. Vague goals create vague effort. Specific goals create specific results. 2. Measurable. You need a scoreboard. If you can't track it, you can't improve it. Ask yourself, how will I know I'm making progress? If your goal is to save money, what's the amount? If it's to get fit, what's the routine? Measure what matters. That's how you stay motivated. 3. Aligned, your goal should fit your life, your values, your purpose. If it doesn't align with who you are, you'll resist it. If it doesn't connect to your deeper why, you'll quit when it gets tough. Every goal should answer, Is this really what I want? Or just what I think I should want? Choose goals that pull you forward, not ones that weigh you down. Fourth, time-bound. Without a timeline, a goal is just a wish. Deadlines drive focus. They turn intention into urgency. You don't have to rush, but you do have to commit. Ask yourself, when will I start? And when do I expect to finish? That time frame creates momentum. Now that we've broken down goal setting, let's move to the next level. Visualization. This is where your mind becomes your most powerful tool. Because here's the truth. You have to see it before you see it. Visualization is not wishful thinking. It's mental preparation. It's rehearsal. It's focus. It's fuel. Elite athletes do it. Successful entrepreneurs do it. High performers in every field do it. And now, so will you. Here's how it works. Every day, spend a few minutes seeing yourself succeed. Close your eyes, take a breath, and picture it. Vividly. What does your future look like? How do you feel waking up in that next version of your life? What are you wearing? Where are you standing? What's the expression on your face? Make it real in your mind, before it becomes real in the world. The mind doesn't know the difference between a real memory and a deeply imagined one. So when you visualize success often, your mind starts to believe it's possible. It starts to look for it. It starts to create it. That's not magic. That's neuroscience. Here's a powerful practice to try. At the start or end of each day, ask yourself, what does my ideal future look like? Who am I becoming? What steps did I take today to move toward that vision? This habit aligns your mindset with your mission. Because when your vision is clear, your choices become easier. You stop asking, should I do this? And you start asking, does this take me closer to my goal? That's clarity. That's focus. That's power. Let's connect this to everything we've already learned. To set and achieve clear goals, you need ownership. To take full responsibility, you need a growth mindset. To believe that you can improve, you need self-discipline. To follow through on your actions, you need adaptability. Because your path won't always go as planned. You need self-care because you can't sustain progress without energy. All of that brings you to this moment, to this step, to setting a vision so powerful, you refuse to quit. So many people live on autopilot. They wake up, go through the motions, and hope things change. But hope is not a strategy. Clear goals, that's the strategy. Visualizing success, that's the fire. Showing up consistently, that's the execution. And when you combine all three, you don't just move forward, you move with force. Here's what I want you to remember. Your future isn't waiting for you. It's waiting on you. To decide, to commit, to visualize, to act. And the clearer you become, the closer it gets. You've built a solid foundation. You've fueled your mind and body. You've accepted change. You've created balance. Now, you aim. Now, you step with purpose. Because when you set clear goals and see your success ahead of time, you start living with precision. You stop reacting, and you start designing. You stop drifting, and you start driving. You stop wondering, what if? And start living, what's next? When you see the vision, you walk different. You talk different. You show up different. And people will notice, not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. And clarity is magnetic. Clarity is power. Clarity is peace. It's time to surround yourself with people who believe in your vision and let go of those who block it. But for now, remember, success starts in the mind, and clarity brings it to life. Overcome fear and embrace failure. Let's begin with this truth. Everyone feels fear, everyone fails, but not everyone fights through fear, and not everyone learns from failure. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is not that one group is fearless. It's that they move forward despite fear. And that's what this chapter is about. You have a vision now. You have goals. You've built clarity. You've set your direction. But suddenly, something rises inside you. What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What will people think? What if I lose everything? That voice isn't just doubt. It's fear. And it's loud. And if you don't learn to face it, it will block every door success tries to open for you. Let's get one thing straight. Fear is not your enemy. It's a signal. It shows up when you're about to grow. It shows up when you're getting close to something meaningful. Fear says, this matters. It says, this could change everything. And that's powerful if you use it. But here's where most people get stuck. They treat fear as a stop sign, not a signal. So they pause, they freeze, they overthink, they wait. And in that waiting, momentum dies. Confidence fades, and dreams dissolve. But not you, not anymore. Because after this chapter, fear won't stop you. You'll walk with it. You'll face it. You'll overcome it. Let's break it down. There are two kinds of fear. 1, the fear that protects you, like real danger. 2, and the fear that limits you, like imagined danger. Most of the fear we deal with today is the second kind. Not fear of a wild animal, but fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of looking foolish, fear of being judged. But here's what you must understand. Fear is just a story your mind tells you. And like every story, you have the power to rewrite it. Let's say you want to start something new. A business, a YouTube channel, a side hustle, a new career. What happens? Your mind says, what if nobody likes it? What if I mess up? What if I lose money? What if I'm not good enough? That's fear. But those are questions with no proof. They're predictions, not facts. The truth is, you don't know what will happen, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try, because trying is how you grow. Failing is how you learn. Falling is how you rise stronger. Let's talk about failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. It's the training ground. It's the test of how bad you want it. You can't skip failure. You can only use it. Think of every successful person you admire. Behind every highlight is a long list of low points. They were rejected. They were laughed at. They were overlooked. They were doubted. But they kept going. Why? Because they saw failure for what it really is. Feedback, not a finish line. When you fail, you learn what doesn't work. You learn what needs improvement. You grow thicker skin. You sharpen your focus. You build resilience. And that's more valuable than a perfect record, because perfection is a lie. But progress, that's real. So how do you actually overcome fear and embrace failure? Let's go step by step. 1. Name the fear. Most fear grows in silence. When you don't name it, it controls you. But when you say it out loud, it shrinks. So ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Is it failure? Is it judgment? Is it change? Is it loss? Name it. Face it. Don't run, because you can't defeat what you don't define. 2, challenge the fear. Next, ask yourself, is this fear based on facts or imagination? What's the worst that could happen, and can I handle that? What's the best that could happen, and is it worth the risk? Most fears are built on exaggerations, and once you look at them clearly, they lose their power. 3. Take small steps. You don't have to leap. Start with one small step, make the call, post the video, send the email, apply for the opportunity. Action breaks fear. Every small win builds courage. 4. Redefine failure. Failure is not the end. It's information. If you didn't get the job, you learned how to improve the interview. If the idea flopped, you found a better way not to do it. If you were rejected, You learned how to handle no. Reframe every failure as a lesson. Ask, what did this teach me? How will I use this next time? How did I grow from this? Winners don't avoid failure. They mine it for wisdom. 5. Surround yourself with courage. You've heard this before, and it's true. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you're around fear, you'll play small. If you're around courage, you'll level up. So choose people who try things, who take risks, who don't fear failing, who get up and go again. Courage is contagious. Now, let's tie this back to what you've already learned. You're owning your life now. You're thinking with a growth mindset. You've built habits of self-discipline. You've embraced change. You've protected your well-being. You've set clear goals and visualized success. But when fear shows up and failure knocks, you don't fold. You face it. You learn. You rise. Because every person who wins has failed more than most people have even tried. Let that sink in. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about learning how to use pain. It's not about never falling. It's about getting up fast. It's not about being perfect. It's about being resilient. So the next time fear shows up, smile. It means you're growing. The next time you fail, reflect. It means you're in the game. Because people who don't fail are people who never try. And that's not you. You try. You learn. You evolve. You win. But for now, remember, fear is a compass. Failure is a teacher. And you are becoming unstoppable. Because you've made the decision to focus on you until you win. Build supportive relationships. Let's start with a truth that many overlook. Who you spend time with shapes who you become. Your mindset, your motivation, your energy, your goals, your future. All of it is influenced by the people you surround yourself with. Even the strongest individuals need support, need connection, need people who believe in them when they forget to believe in themselves. You've already come a long way in this journey. You've started taking ownership of your life. You've learned how to shift your thinking. You've embraced change, built self-discipline, and set clear goals. You're learning to walk through fear and use failure as fuel. But now, it's time to look around and ask, who's walking with me? Because growth doesn't just come from within. It's also shaped by who stands beside you. Let me tell you something important. You don't have to do this alone, and you're not meant to. Yes, this journey is about focusing on you. Yes, it's about your inner transformation. But that doesn't mean isolation. It means intention. It means choosing the right people. It means building relationships that lift you, not limit you. So, let's talk about this. There are two kinds of people in your life. 1. Those who build you up. 2. And those who break you down. Some people leave you feeling seen, heard, energized, and encouraged. Others leave you doubting, drained, confused, or stuck. You have to learn to tell the difference, because your time, your focus, your energy, they're too valuable to waste. Here's the truth. You can't grow in toxic soil. If the people around you constantly doubt you, mock your dreams, or pull you into negativity, then you're not just carrying your own weight, you're carrying theirs too, and that's heavy. You can't afford that anymore. This chapter is about how to identify the people who truly support your growth. Let go of the ones who hold you back. Build a network of honest, empowering, loyal relationships. Become the kind of person who also supports others. Because the quality of your relationships will either speed you up or slow you down. Let's dive in. 1. Recognize the power of influence. You may not always realize it, but the people around you influence your thoughts, habits, choices, and beliefs. If you're always around complainers, you start to complain. If you're surrounded by people who take action, you start taking action. If your circle normalizes quitting, You'll find excuses easier than solutions. So, take a moment. Think of the 5 people you interact with most often. Now ask, do they challenge me to grow? Do they celebrate my wins? Do they encourage better habits? Do they inspire me to keep going? If the answer is no, it may be time for some distance. 2. Let go of draining relationships. This part is hard, but necessary. Some people have been with you for years, but not everyone grows with you, and that's okay. Letting go doesn't mean you're cold or ungrateful. It means you respect your path too much to be pulled off course. You can love people from a distance. You can care for them without letting them block your growth. Protect your peace. Protect your progress. Because every moment spent explaining, defending, or shrinking yourself to stay connected is a moment lost from your future. 3. Find your people. If you want to win, you need to be around winners. If you want to grow, you need to be around growers. People who value growth. People who think long-term. People who take responsibility. People who speak life, not gossip. But finding them takes effort. You may have to step into new rooms, join new communities, say hello first, put yourself out there. It's uncomfortable, but so worth it. Because when you find just one person who truly sees your vision, it changes everything. 4. Look for these qualities in supportive people. Supportive relationships aren't just about feeling good. They're about being challenged and held accountable too. Here's what to look for. Honesty. They tell you the truth, not just what you want to hear. Loyalty. They stand with you, especially when things are hard. Growth mindset. They believe people can change and improve. Encouragement. They lift you up, not tear you down. Trust. You can be yourself without fear of judgment. One solid relationship like this can do more for your growth than years of solo effort. 5. Be the person you want to attract. Here's the flip side, and it's just as powerful. You must become what you want to receive. If you want people who are honest, be honest. If you want encouragement, give it. If you want loyalty, offer it first. If you want people to believe in you, start by believing in others. Support flows both ways. The more you grow into a supportive, grounded, empowering presence, the more you'll attract people on that same wavelength. Like attracts like. That's how real communities are built. 6. Create boundaries without guilt. You don't owe everyone access to your energy. Let me repeat that. You don't owe everyone access to your energy. You're allowed to say, I'm not available for gossip. I don't have space for that kind of negativity. That's not the direction I'm heading. Boundaries are not walls. They're gates. They let in what feeds you and keep out what drains you. And when you set them clearly and kindly, you build relationships that are rooted in mutual respect. 7. Celebrate growth together. When you surround yourself with the right people, amazing things happen. You start celebrating each other's wins. You start pushing each other through hard times. You share ideas, solutions, and wisdom. You create a space where everyone rises together. That's the kind of environment where personal growth becomes natural. That's the kind of space where winning feels shared, not isolated. 8. Tie it all together. Let's reflect. In Chapter 1, you took ownership. You stopped blaming and started building. In Chapter 2, you shifted your mindset. In Chapter 3, you built discipline. In Chapter 4, you embraced change. In Chapter 5, you prioritized self-care. In Chapter 6, you set your goals. In Chapter 7, you overcame fear and used failure. And now, in Chapter 8, you've learned to choose your people. Because this path is personal, but it's not lonely. You are allowed to grow with support. You are allowed to want deep, encouraging, real connection. You're not weak for needing help. You're wise. Strong people build strong circles. So, as you continue forward, pay attention to the energy around you. Be intentional with who you allow close. And know this: you are worthy of support. You are worthy of real connection. And you are capable of building relationships that match your growth. In the next chapter, we'll go even deeper into taking consistent action and staying disciplined when motivation fades, because that's what it takes to keep winning. But for now, take this with you. You're not alone. You never have to be. The right people are out there, and the right path is already unfolding beneath your feet. Just keep walking it, one step, one connection, one chapter at a time. Take action and stay persistent. Let's start with a simple truth. Nothing changes. Until you take action. You can dream. You can plan. You can visualize. You can talk about it. You can hope and wish and wait. But if you don't take action, nothing will move. This is where many people stop. Not because they don't care, not because they don't want it, but because they never take the first step. Or they give up too soon. That's what we're here to change. You've already done so much. You've taken ownership of your life. You've shifted your mindset and rebuilt your habits. You've embraced change. You've prioritized your health. You've set clear goals. You've even faced your fears and redefined failure. And in the last chapter, you learned the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people. Now, the question is, what are you doing about it? Because without action, all that insight stays trapped inside. Let's unlock it. This chapter is about taking consistent, bold, focused action, moving even when you don't feel ready, building the muscle of persistence, learning how to push through the hard days, and staying locked in on your path no matter what obstacles come, because this is what separates the people who want success from the people who create it. 1. The illusion of readiness. Let's be honest. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow. I just need to be more prepared. Once I feel more confident, I'll go for it." But here's the truth. You will never feel 100% ready. You become ready by starting. Waiting for confidence before you take action is like waiting to be fit before you go to the gym. It doesn't work like that. Confidence comes from movement, from doing the thing, from showing up, from learning as you go. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a decision. Second action. Breaks. Fear. Remember what we talked about in Chapter 7. Fear and failure. Action is the antidote to fear. When you sit and think about your fears, they grow. When you move toward them, they shrink. You don't have to leap the whole mountain. Just take one step, then another. Action builds courage. Action builds clarity. Action gives you feedback. You either learn or you grow, but both require motion. The myth of motivation. Let's kill another myth. You will not always feel motivated. Motivation is like a spark. It's great to start a fire, but it doesn't keep it going. What keeps it going is discipline, commitment, persistence. You can't build your life on how you feel every day. You have to build it on your decisions. This is where most people fall off. They think, if I don't feel motivated, something's wrong. But no, that's normal. Real growth starts when you act without motivation. When you show up because you said you would. That's power. 4. Create a system, not a mood. Want to take consistent action. Don't rely on moods, build systems. Set routines. Create structures. Make decisions in advance. Example: if your goal is to write every day, set a time, set a space, and show up, even if it's just 10 minutes. If your goal is to exercise, prepare your clothes the night before and remove excuses. The more decisions you automate, the less willpower you need. Make it simple. Make it hard to skip. Success isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. 5th, track progress, not perfection. Progress is messy. Some days you move fast. Some days you crawl. Both count. What matters is that you're moving. What matters is that you're not stuck in place. Don't wait for the perfect streak. Celebrate small wins. 1 healthy meal, 1 honest conversation, 1 hour of focus, 1 rejection you survived, 1 day you didn't quit. These build momentum. Momentum builds belief. Belief builds transformation. 6. Persistence beats talent. Let's talk about persistence. Most people don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they stop too soon. They hit one obstacle and give up. They hear one no and walk away. They get tired and assume it's not meant for them. But here's the secret. The people you admire most, they're just the ones who didn't quit. They kept going when it was boring. They kept going when no one was watching. They kept going when they doubted themselves. Persistence isn't sexy, but it's unstoppable. 7th, obstacles are part of the path. Some people treat obstacles like a stop sign, but they're not. They're just a test. They ask you, how badly do you want this? Expect setbacks. Expect detours. Expect moments where nothing seems to work. That doesn't mean you're off track. That means you're on the path. Obstacles aren't the enemy. Giving up is. 8. Rest, don't quit. You'll get tired. You'll feel burned out. You'll want to give up. That's okay. It happens. But here's the rule. Rest if you must, but don't quit. Take a breath. Step back. Refocus. But then, get back up. The difference between those who make it and those who don't? The ones who make it, they kept showing up, even when it was slow, even when no one clapped, even when it felt pointless, because they knew every small step still mattered. 9th, let your why drive you. When the road gets hard, go back to your why. Why did you start this journey? What pain are you walking away from? What future are you walking toward? Remind yourself, this isn't just about goals. This is about becoming someone new. You're building a version of yourself that refuses to give up. A version that's tired of starting over. A version that finishes what they start. Let that version lead. 10. Connect it all together. Let's step back and see the full picture. You took ownership. You changed your mindset. You embraced change. You cared for yourself. You set goals. You pushed through fear. You found your circle. Now, in this chapter, you move. This is the turning point. From thinking to doing. From planning to producing. From preparing to persisting. Everything you've built so far led here. Now it's about movement. And once you start moving, you don't stop. You become unstoppable, not because life gets easy, but because you get stronger. You don't need to sprint. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. Every action compounds. Every step matters. Every choice adds up. Take action. Stay persistent. And trust that every move you make is building a better future. But for now, remember, success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. Let's pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. And realize something powerful. You've made it to the end of this journey. But this isn't really the end. It's the beginning of something greater. A life rebuilt from the inside out. Think back to where you started. Maybe you felt stuck. Maybe you felt tired. Maybe you didn't even know what was missing. But something inside told you, there has to be more. And now, look at what you've done. You took ownership of your life. You learned how to rewire your thinking. You chose to grow, even when it was uncomfortable. You stopped waiting for motivation and started moving with purpose. You embraced change. You learned to care for yourself deeply, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. You set goals, real goals. You saw your success before the world ever could. You faced your fears instead of running from them. You stopped treating failure like a full stop and started treating it like fuel. You let go of people who drained you, and started building relationships that poured life back in. You learned how to take action, even when you were tired, and you discovered the magic of staying persistent when others would quit. You took your time seriously. You protected your energy. You became someone who doesn't just survive the day. You became someone who leads the day. And more than all of that, you stopped looking outside for validation and started looking inside for power. That's what this journey was about. Not chasing someone else's version of success, but becoming the strongest, truest, and most focused version of you. Because when you focus on you, when you do the work, build the mindset, keep the vision, and never stop pushing forward, you win. Every single time. This victory isn't about applause. It isn't about perfection. It isn't about speed. It's about showing up for yourself every day, especially on the hard ones, especially when no one's watching. You now know you don't need to be ready. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to keep going. You just need to believe and act. You've walked through the fire of self-doubt. You faced your own excuses, and you came out stronger because you finally chose you, and that changes everything. So, here you are, at the edge of everything you used to wish for, on the edge of a life that's built by design, not by default. A life where you no longer just react. You lead. You've got the tools. You've got the mindset. And, most importantly, you've got the fire. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need that one decision. To keep showing up. To keep growing. To keep believing in your journey, no matter what comes next. This is your story now. Your rules, your path, your pace. And no matter how long the road is, you're walking it with power. So remember, when you focus on you, you win. Not someday, not if, not maybe. You win because you decided to. And that decision will change everything. Forever. Now that you've walked through this entire journey, let me ask you one simple question. What's your next move? You've just taken in powerful lessons about ownership, mindset, growth, persistence, relationships, and building a life that reflects your vision. But don't stop here, because transformation isn't a one-time event. It's a daily choice, a daily practice, and, most importantly, a daily reminder. If this series lit something inside you, if it made you think differently, if it reminded you that you are capable of more, then don't let that fire fade. This channel, Chapters of Change, was built for people just like you. People who are done waiting, done surviving, done living small. People who are ready to grow, to take control, to build, step by step, a life they don't have to escape from. So, if this message speaks to you, like this video, that single click, it tells us this work matters. It shows that you're not just watching, you're engaging, you're growing, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. We're going deeper, more books, more insights, more powerful truths, broken down simply, clearly, and honestly, so you can keep leveling up, even on your busiest days. And I want to hear from you too. Leave a comment below. Tell me, what part of this journey hit you the hardest? What change are you making from today? Which chapter made you stop and think? What are you still working on? This isn't just content, it's community. Every comment, every voice, it reminds someone else out there that they're not alone, that someone else is growing, someone else is fighting for better, just like them. So let this be more than just another video you watched. Let it be a marker, a line in the sand. From this moment on, you're not just consuming. You're becoming. You're choosing progress over perfection. You're choosing action over waiting. You're choosing focus on you. Because when you focus on you, you win. And now, it's your move. Like, subscribe, comment, then get back out there and keep going. Because your next chapter, it starts now.